for this offensive line. Part of that had to do with the returning starters, but also the added depth there. That this year, there's no excuse for this offensive line not to be significantly improved. I mean, is that kind of been the message you're hammering home with these guys?
Yeah, no reason not for those guys to be good. I mean, yeah. Yes.
What has maybe shown you that that's either progressing the way you had hoped, or there's still work to do as far as that offensive line being the type of group that's capable of being? I know it's first day of spring ball, but
yeah, it's hard to judge on first day, especially without pads on. The leadership has been there. I mean, you talk about having four seniors in the room: Matt Farniak, Brendan, Bo, Christian Gaylord getting his 6th year. So we're a senior-laden group. There's certainly a host of guys that are young, still in their first or second year, freshmen, sophomores. But nevertheless, we got seniors. We should have that senior leadership should help us.
Finishing is something that's been touched on, at least by your guys up at the podium. What was your message to them about finishing, third quarters, fourth quarters, as the game moves on?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fit, the finish. We talk about the effort. Everybody has an ownership aspect to this deal, and I tell the kids, your side of the finish is your effort. My side of the finish is the fit, the drive, all the technique side of it. And that's where we had to peel the onion back in the off season to kind of see, okay, what does it look like? We saw some things in our film that we didn't do so well from a technique standpoint. We were putting our kids in positions to succeed in some cases, and then other cases, I didn't think they was coached as good as it should have been coached. So that's on me, that's on us, and I got to make sure I get that tightened up. But it should be the message. It's not like finishing has not been a message around here, but it's one thing to speak about things, but it's another thing to really talk about it. Let's talk about it. Leave the Eagles at the door. Let's talk about it. Why didn't he finish that block? Was it an effort deal or was it a technique deal? Because you can turn on the film right now and say, "Oh, such and such is not a good player," or whatever. But is he really not a good player? Or is he just not being coached to do what he should do to finish that block? And again, like I said, you got to own it. Once you own it, you move forward.
Scott had mentioned that maybe you guys did a deeper self-scout offensively this year than maybe what you've done in the past. I mean, aside from what you just mentioned, kind of looking back on last year, what else was kind of revealed about your group, I guess, when you had a chance to go back through everything?
One of the things I really was encouraged by, our kids kept on playing, man. They kept on competing and playing, and they got better throughout the year. Our guys, we had a young guy at center trying to man that position, and that stuff affects everybody along the front, But we did do a deeper self-scout, and part of the deeper self-scout, to my point earlier, was don't turn on the film and say this guy is he missed a block. Let's talk about why he missed that block. Was it the kid's fault? Was it the coach's fault? Was it a combination of both? Are we in the right stuff? That's the part of self-scout that we needed to do. Not turn on the film and see what the actual outcome of the play was. Every play was broken down with the why. Why did it work? Why didn't it work? What are we trying to get accomplished? Right? So therefore, when you go and you do a self-scout, in some cases you kind of have to think back to what the game plan was and how they were, attacking you, and what your plan of attack was for them. And the good thing about our self-scout this year that was different than years past was that the O-line coach was on the same page with every single coach in the room. Just was, And I'm not going to say that we kind of brushed over it in the past. We didn't, but it was more of a detailed conversation. Why did he take that step? Why are his eyes supposed to be there? Why is his hand supposed to be there? Why is that route depth at 8 yards? How many steps does he take before he makes the cut? All those things, that we needed to go back, and it's almost like how it was at year one at UCF when we were just learning the deal, just learning it, trying to teach each other it so that we can go out there and not have practice be a tough practice. I have a saying for it, but I don't want to use it.
You mentioned the senior leadership. What kind of luxury is it for you as a coach to have a 4-year starter at left tackle, kind of that cornerstone guy to really kind of build things off of?
It's good. I mean, Brendan knows, man. We had this conversation, I'll be honest with you, it was, is he going to come back? Is he not? Nobody knew. Brendan knows why he knows why he came back. Brendan had an opportunity to play in the NFL this year. So him coming back, this is not a I want to come back and increase my draft. This is a comeback to get this stuff right. Be the senior leader in the room that you're supposed to be the cornerstone of the offensive line. Continue to mentor the young guys behind you. Progress those guys. Be the right-hand man to the coaches. That's your job now. This is not a hey, I'm just coming back to play more ball. This is like he has a job above and beyond his job of obviously being a productive player. And he's a productive player last year, man, especially second half of the year, man. You couldn't ask for better tackle play, especially in protection. It's not even close. So he's coming back with a purpose, and certainly the bottom standard is him playing well and being a productive player, but he came back, and that speaks to the program and what we're trying to build along the front. We're trying to restructure and we're trying to rebuild what we call the pipeline. You can't rebuild a pipeline if you got guys that don't want to be here. You can't really rebuild a pipeline with shuffling a whole bunch of new guys into the fold and trying to get those guys progressed. Turner's watching every single step the guy takes. Frank's watching every single step that guy takes. And as he continues to do well, then those guys understand the way, and then it just continues to go in perpetuity, so that now we don't have gaps. That's what you build with a program. You don't have gaps where a good guy leaves, right, and then now nobody's able to back him up. And that's what we had, to be honest with you, not in just the offensive line, but in different positions in this program. We're trying to build a program where you don't have gaps, where you have seniors that come in, set the tone, show the way, and then the next guys just continue to feed and continue to push the envelope and push the standard forward. That's what made this place special. It wasn't just getting a whole bunch of players in here that were really good. It was an intangible side to it, and that's the reason why I'm excited he's back.
Did he submit a grade? I assume that he submitted for a grade for the NFL.
I don't know. We have talks, but I can't formally say anything to you. He did not formally submit and go and ask what his grade was. He did not do that. But we've had talks, but nothing like formal.
You mentioned guys that want to be here. What does it mean for your room and you as a coach to get Christian Gaylor back after everything he went through last year, to have him one more year?
Another guy. The guys want to be here. Guys want to be good. Guys go out there and bust their ass to be good. It's on us to make sure that we're coaching them the right way, teaching them the right way, loving them the right way, mentoring them the right way, so that they can be good. That's what they came to be here. Christian's no different. Lost his father last year. Besides his family, we're Christian support, which is the way it should be. You're a college football player, right? So, in his mind, he's like, no, I need to go and play my 5th year, and we had big plans for Christian even last year, and he knew it. You know, it was unfortunate. You know, he went down with his knee injury when he went down. You know, he lost his father, and he said, "Coach, if I have the opportunity, I'd like to come back." I said, "Hell yeah, let's go." You know, we need you back. We need the depth. We need to make sure that we got competition. That's the thing about this spring that we haven't had in years past since we arrived, is that every single position there's a guy competing at every single position, different than we've ever had it here. You know, and when I say that, you know, we talked about Brendan Hymas, yes, but Brendan Hymas is pushed by the guys that are behind him, without a doubt. You know, the guards inside, the competition that we have inside there, center, right tackle, Christian, in a competition with Bryce Benhart, you know, and Matt Farniak. We're not just putting Matt Farniak in there and saying, hey, slug it out down inside, you know, but there's competition. You know, we're going to put the best 5 guys on the line, you know, next year, but, you know, that competition is going to allow us to continue to get better and continue to be improved, much more improved than, you know, than we've been.
Is it safe to say that ideally moving Matt inside, and that's the move that, if everything works the way that you hope it does, that's how we'll go down? We'll have Matt inside at left guard, and then presumably a guy like Bryce Benhart at the right tackle spot. Is that kind of the goal?
Yeah.
What makes Farniak appealing at guard? I mean, for a guy that spent all his time at tackle, what do you see his strengths at guard?
Well, he's a thick, you know, kid that, you know, has a good low center of gravity. He can move people. You know, he's shown the ability to move people, get his pads on the guys. I think athletically he's better in short spaces. You know, I think his athleticism tailors more to being a guard. His athleticism and his grit, you know, kind of the combination of both, tailor more to being a guard. Yeah, we need guys inside, you know, different than last year, that we feel like are going to give us a vocal grit presence inside, and he certainly brings that with him. You know, he's a gritty guy, tough kid. You know, in Big Ten, man, your guards have to be tough kids. And when I say that, you know, I'm not saying that guys weren't tough last year, but, you know, it's a mindset, and certainly Matt has it. So it'd be good to get leadership outside, but then also, you know, with Matt being one of our leaders in the offensive line and one of our team leaders, be good to have him inside as well.
Obviously, a lot of that is dictated on whether Benhart's ready. That was one of the things Frost was saying up there. How close do you think Bryce is to taking over and being a guy you can trust to be that number 1 tackle?
Day one, bro. It's day one. If you ask me day one of fall camp, yeah, I hope I have a better answer for you. You know, there's things that he did today that were pretty good. You know, he's way more comfortable in his position than he has been in years past. I'm just excited about him going out there and competing his ass off, and then we'll let it all shake out from there. But we're not playing a game March 10th, are we? So he needs to be ready on whenever we play. What is it, September something? And I think he's moving in that direction. I think, you know, he's moving in that direction. The things that I see, the weight gain, you can see the body change, the feel with the offense, you know, making the calls, you know, certain things like that give me a lot of encouragement as I move forward with him.
You had a large group of guys redshirting last year. Did you find that those guys kind of got the benefit of that year that maybe you would have hoped that they did?
Yeah, Zach and those guys do a good job in the weight room. You know, do a great job. There are certain things that we're building on. You know, the thing is, going into spring ball this year, I had 3 new guys, right? Neri Willie, Turner Corcoran, and Xavier Trevino, right? And everybody else has been here. You know, so it's kind of just like picking up where we left off. Granted, I know those guys did not get the full gamut of the reps in our system last year because they were on the look squad, but they got a good portion of them on Fridays. They got a good portion. They got a good sample on Fridays. So to keep those guys continually going. And then we did meetings with those guys as well. So we just kind of picked it up. And, even with those 3 new guys, those guys are smart kids. One of which, heck, he started for Colorado State last year, the whole year. So it's not like he's like brand spanking new to everything. And those other 2 kids are smart as all hell. So, today was a little bit weird in that there weren't guys going right when they're supposed to go left. They were at least going the right way. I'm talking more about the young guys, and the guys that had redshirted. Those guys knew their angles. They knew, generally speaking, where their landmarks were, etc. They saw the signals and things like that. So, we'll continue to build on just those basic fundamental things and then move forward with a lot of technique work.
I know this is obvious, but can you maybe just put into context the difference between Cam Jurgens at the end of the season compared to where he was last September?
Comfort. There's a comfort level. It was a confidence and comfort level. Even with the snaps, it's not like we never practiced snaps. When you get out there and you got live bullets, there's so much thinking that goes on. What happened with Cam is the game slowed down for the guy. Slowed down for him. Cam come off to the sideline and he actually gave good feedback, right? Whereas game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, it was like, Cam, what'd you see? And looking at me with those confused eyes. Well, Cam, we gotta get the ball down. First things first, gotta get the ball down. What did you call? And you had guys on the side of him like, man, I didn't hear shit. And it's like, oh my God. All right, guys, all right, just calm down. Everybody calm down. It was kind of like one of those therapy sessions in the middle of 95,000 people in Memorial Stadium. Like, all right, okay. So then slowly but surely, as things continue to drag along, man, just the attitude is just like, man, let's keep coaching, keep playing, and he's one of those kids. Things don't faze him. And one of the things that you really like about him is that he does not make the same mistakes twice. When I say mistakes, I'm talking more about lack of call, lack of information. Certainly as things calmed down for him, he was able to be more efficient with his snaps and efficient with his get-offs, efficient with his whole game. But there's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of loaded information. Because people forget Cam. We didn't even have Cam throughout fall camp last year. We had Cam the week before South Alabama last year, full time. So the transition, and in addition to him being healthy, there's so many things working against us. But those reps that he missed in fall camp were critical. I think he probably would have been where he was game 6, game 3. Had he received those reps. But nevertheless, his comfort level is high. The boys have confidence. He's opened up his mouth. There's a command presence. And I mentioned that last year about his command presence as a center. His command presence is there. Just taking a quick peek at the practice since, before we got up here, he was really good. And his relationship with Adrian is really good as well. You can tell those guys kind of have, there's a relationship that you have between a center or an offensive line and a quarterback. And, I saw some things today that, honestly, I'd never seen in the past between those two. So, it's a little bit of an ownership, a comfort level that he has and a confidence. The defense gave us a couple different fronts than we expected today. No big deal. He was able to communicate, make the adjustment, and still have an accurate snap, and et cetera, et cetera. In the meetings, he asked me a hell of a lot more questions than when we first made the transition to get him over there. So it's just like anything. It's like teaching a baby how to walk, right? You're gonna fall a couple times. Hopefully you don't bust your head open, but you'll eventually get it.
What is
When you talk about the relationship with Adrian and seeing things between those guys you haven't seen before, like, what are we talking about?
Well, even when a ball is off of the strike zone, what we call off the strike zone, off the shoulders, it's, hey, Cam, even just their communication with one another. And when I say that, it's sometime within the play, and then sometimes it's actually when they get done with their rack of plays, So now they're talking outside of the rack of plays if they're talking about what just happened, So that's a big deal, because now you're quickly coaching yourself and getting better in that split second, that gap between it when it's time for you to go back in, So that's a big deal.
What's it mean to you? You had two of your veteran guys, Hymas and Farniak. Basically, the theme was no more excuses for the line. That was sort of what their message was. What's that mean to you as a coach to hear that from your guys?
It means a lot. Those guys know. If you think they said it just on their own, you're crazy. It's what it is. We go into the freaking meeting room like, hey boys, what's our? We don't have a new center. We don't have new all of this. We got 1,000 guys now. We got plenty of reps to go around. What? You tell me. We turn on this film. What's going to be your excuse? You tell me. No, don't want to hear it. Let's get the job done.
With the run game coordinator title, you feel like you have a larger voice in how the game plan comes together,
yes.
Including and I apologize if I asked this, including the notion of we need to run the ball more. Just that basic concept.
No, it's more or less, it's not necessarily we need to run the ball more. It's more or less, what are we going to go to? And I'm not going to talk about the past, but, in the past, I'm like, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to go to this, we need to go to that. Sometimes it was taken, sometimes not so much, right? You look at the Iowa game, I'm like, hey, we need to run the ball at them, not try to run around. No, let's attack them. Let's get vertical. Okay, well, this is what we need to do, And it's not that I didn't have a voice in the past. It's more or less like, okay, now the onus is, G, what are we calling? Let's go. And then I better be prepared to have that call on the end of my lips, ready to go. From a coordinator, from a top view standpoint, as to what they're doing, the adjustments that we need to make, what we feel confident in what we're running. And obviously in the preparation side of it, what we need to be working on more than other things. Because there's a million things to work on. There's a million ways to run the ball. But what are you really good at? And that's what you have to determine. You got to determine what you're really good at, what your kids are really good at, what they understand, what you can practice effectively, and then make that your bread and butter. Last year we got into the habit of, kind of doing this and doing that and doing, no. Hey, let's just really get really good at doing these few things. And then we can have little trinket, little things off of that, but let's get really good at this core, So right now it's an opportunity to work the core. What is the core, And we discussed those things.
What did you think of the Purdue game and the Iowa game last year in terms of the way those you're down on the goal line and shovel passes? What did you, as an offensive line coach, think about that?
It was a game plan. He decided to call the play. It is what it is. It is what it is, bro. What do you think of it? Hell, everybody wants. The other time we were on the goal line at Purdue, We ran the ball in, right?
Yes.
So you tell me what I thought about it. Hey, shit. We almost gave them the ball back on the same thing that they gave us the ball with.
Yeah.
Damn near, you know. But still, I mean, I ain't making an excuse for that. Hell, we should have executed the play. You execute the plays that are called, regardless if you like the play or not. Execute the play. You know.
You mentioned the comfort for Cam to start. He had to make that transition from tight end to offensive line pretty quickly in terms of putting on the weight and all that. How much different is he physically now after having a full off season to really kind of refine his body than he was when he first started?
Well, he's healthy, and that's a big deal. And then he's been able to gain and maintain the weight. Last year he gained a pretty substantial amount of weight. And then throughout the year, just didn't maintain it, you know, just because of the practices. But I think now he's built up essentially a diet to consume as much as he needs to maintain. I think he's 290, 291, something like that. You know, last year he weighed in 280, and it was hard for him to stay at 280. Just the caloric intake, he wasn't, you know, the body is a unique thing, man. The body's like, if it rejects weight gain, then it's going to reject it, you know, or he's expending so much energy. I don't know if he was prepared to just eat all that food at the schedules he needed to eat it at, in addition to keeping a school schedule and all of those things that come along with it. You know, this year, in the off season, he got an opportunity to get that weight. Now, honestly, right now, especially with day on, day off, we're going to be busting our ass to say, Cam, make sure that you're doing what you need to do, because we're still in that trial run phase of him having to maintain that weight. You know, I think he has it, now he has to maintain it. And that's our next job with him, is making sure that he doesn't dip down in the 70s before spring ball is done.
Yeah, Farniak said the challenge for him was more moving from right tackle to left guard rather than just tackle to guard. You know, there's a size thing.
Yes.
Right. Why is that such a big adjustment for a lineman, having played on the right side and then suddenly go inside?
You know, it's weird because it's a different stance, it's a different stagger, right? When you talk about power angles, you're talking about a different leg, mainly, that you're working through in either direction that you're going. If you're on the right side, in most cases running the zone scheme, you're going to have to strike and press through your left side. You know, that keeps guys in the gap, that keeps guys pushing through, it keeps you pushing through the angle. It's obviously now we're on the left side, now it's the right side. You know, pass protection wise, same deal. You know, so it's just using a different leg, a different arm. You know, that's the big difference. Right side, left side. You know, the move from tackle to guard, that's not that big a deal. The move from side to side, it's a big deal. You know, and if you haven't done it, and you've gotten so accustomed to what your side was, like he was to your starter at right tackle, there's gonna be a transition phase to it. And I was watching him today. You know, I mean, things we teach, like, you know, his knee was flailing out on a wide zone play. No, you can't rotate your knee out. No, but it's just an understanding that you got to keep your knee more on the angle inside your toe in order to push the angle that you need to. Things like that, you got to get reps at. That's the only thing I can say to you about it. Guys that switch in the middle of the game, you know, they're in a unique position. Maybe they've done it in practice, but, you know, his value is he can play both. And now it's just kind of mastering the biomechanics of playing on a different side.
Being the run game coordinator, a big deal to you?
Oh yeah. Being here is a big deal to me. I mean, just generally being here, but more being the run game coordinator. It's big for me because it gives me an opportunity to kind of speak on some of more what I believe philosophy-wise, you know. So, you know, it tells me, okay, hey, this is your baby. You know, you got it. You know, it's on your shoulders. Works, great. Don't work, you better make sure it works, right? that's why it's a big deal to me. You know, has nothing to do with ego or anything else like that. It's like, hey, you know, I want to get the run game right, so let's make sure that, you know, listen to the guy that wants to get the run game right, and just from a structure standpoint, those guys defer to me a lot now. And when I say they did, it's not like they didn't in the past, but it's more or less, now when you think about the run game, it's, all right, what does G have for us first? Versus, all right, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this. Now it's, if something comes up, G, do you like this? No, I don't. All right, let's throw it out. Or, why don't you like it? Okay, here's the reason why. You know, whereas in years past, it's like, well, we really kind of want to do this. Well, you guys can do it. I just don't think it'll sound, you know. So
but
now,
they do it anyway.
and you still do it anyway.
So what do you believe philosophy-wise? You say things that you believe.
What do you mean? You're talking about in terms of our run game?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to give that to you, because then somebody else will be able to use it, you know. But we're going to run zone, we're going to run power, you know, and then there's an element about us that we're going to run our old school stuff that we did last year, but we're going to be a little bit more structured in how we're doing it. The implementation of it, the structure of it is going to be more sound. We're going to be really good at a few things and not average at a whole bunch of things. And that's the overall, you know, kind of top-down view of it. We're going to be really good at a few things and not trying to do everything else under the sun.
Thanks, Coach.